Greetings. I promised that I would share my spread for 2022 before the year was ended so that you would have a chance to do it yourself if you like the way I'm doing it. I'm going to be showing you, as you can see, you might not be able to see, but in this shot I have 36 cards I'm using this year for my reading. And I will be showing you in detail a little bit month by month what I have done. But before that, I want to talk to you a little bit about the cards I'm using and the what I have determined to look for every month from the cards. First of all, this I will just remind you, this is from my bullet journal. This is the peek into 2021 that I did last year, playing the hand that's dealt. And I used, you might be able to see there are two cards. I chose two cards for each month. One card from the Divine Canine Tarot and one card for the Deviant Moon Tarot. I chose a keyword to summarize the interpretations of each card for that month, trying to find some commonality. And the reason I chose these cards was I was choosing a card from the Divine Canine Tarot, which meant to read the light, and the Deviant Moon meaning to read more of a shadow for each month. So something in light and something in shadow throughout the year, which is a little different than I'd ever done in the past. Okay, that worked out really well for me. So I was maybe going to do that again this year, but I changed my mind. And I changed my mind because I have 3 decks that are relatively new to me, that I thought it would be fun to use. And they're all about crows. Every one of them has to do with crows. So I thought they would play really nicely together. Okay, first of all, I have, this is my newest deck, I believe, that I've acquired. It is the Crow Tarot by MJ. I think it's Cullinane, I'm not sure. She is the same woman who did the Urban Crow Oracle, which I will show you in a minute. But I really like this deck. It's a really beautiful deck. There's a lovely guidebook that comes with it. It doesn't have any illustrations, but it's lovely. It follows very closely to the Rider-Waite, so it's very much in light, I think, for the most part. The one thing I did do was, the cards are beautiful, but one thing I did do was I did, as you can see, I trimmed the deck. I trimmed the cards a little bit. They were just way too big for my hand. I wasn't going to be able to shuffle them, and I've said before in the past how frustrated I get when I can't get a good shuffle on a deck of cards. So I trimmed them a little bit, and I think it made a really nice, it made a difference. It made a good difference. They fit much better in my hand. Okay. I'm still considering maybe I will edge them. I don't know. We'll see. Because they're such beautiful. The artwork on them is just very nice. Very beautiful. But again, they follow very much the Rider-Waite interpretation of the cards. Okay, so to go along with this deck, I used another deck that I have shared with you in the past, and this is the Murder of Crows Tarot. Okay, this is a Lo Scarab deck, and on this one, I'm just going to show you a little bit of the cards. First, this deck I have shared in the past. Well, now I'm all turned. It's making you dizzy there. It's very much in the shadow. They're done in a grayscale, so we see beautiful graphic images of the interpretation of the tarot, which I just love. I just love the cards. I just think they're fantastic, and they play really nicely when set aside beside the beautifully illustrated Crow Tarot. So I thought this would sort of bring a little bit of shadow into each month, so I can look at sort of the light and shadow like I had in the past, which was nice. That's a very comfortable way to read. And again, there's just a small, where did I do it? There's just a little small little white book with it. Again, no illustrations. But what I like about this book is it kind of, It puts a new, a little twist, its own little twist on the cards, specific to this deck, which is one of my favorite things to examine in the tarot. So I love the way they play against each other. So I'm going to use that in my interpretation for each month. And then, of course, going along with them all, here again, MJ Cullinane's Urban Crow Oracle. And I have showed this to you very briefly in the past, I believe. These are really lovely cards. They're beautifully illustrated. And, you know, remember, I don't use a lot of Oracle decks, but I love this one. It's so pretty. It's beautiful, beautiful illustrations and a keyword that goes with each card. We have influence, ghosts, trickery, sacred space, isn't that lovely? Etc. And then, of course, there's a little guidebook that goes with it. Which just talks very briefly about each card. Very briefly about each card. A little paragraph about each one. So it gives you food for thought, so to speak. So what I have done here is, as you can see, and I'm going to change my camera a little bit so you can see specifically. But for each month, I have the oracle laying down first with the keyword. So the keyword, in that case, what we're going to look at in reference to these two cards, and then something from the Crow Tarot and something from the Murder of Crows Tarot on top. And that's what we're going to say for each month. We're going to examine that. Okay. Now, I'm not going to go into big detail of my reading, of course, because, of course, I'm going to be interpreting this reading as the year progresses. This is just going to give me a little bit of an overview in the beginning, a little tease, a little trailer with incoming events, maybe. But it's just, I just want to show you how I interpret, how I'm going to try to tie the meanings together a little bit, just superficially, so that you can, if you want to do this kind of a reading for yourself in the coming year, choosing, of course, the decks of your choice. They don't have to go together. These happen to be all crows, but crows is sort of my jam. I like crows, so I have these three that go together, but it can be any three decks, and you don't even have to have the three. Like, remember last year I had just the two decks, the light and the shadow, but I loved adding the third element of the oracle card. This is where oracle cards shine. They are not good for, I don't believe, too much divination purposes like we use a tarot deck, but they're very helpful for adding a little bit of a dimension and something, tying a commonality, maybe how we can find common ground of the light and shadow. Where do we come in balance? Where does the light and shadow come in balance? What is the word, the key word that we want to establish a balance in what area? Okay, so I'm going to just change the camera, and then we're going to focus 1 month at a time. All right, I hope you can see on my tablecloth here that I have on my table. I needed the table because I had so many cards, and so it's a little dark. I think you can see. I think the light's pretty good. These are my 3 cards that I pulled for the month of January, and I want to talk first about the oracle card in the center here, and the oracle card is entitled Illusion. And it was an interesting little card. It talks about the crow in the picture here that is wanting to sort of interact with the another bird here that it sees. But we see that the other bird is just nothing more than a reflection. It's just in a window. It's just reflected in a window. I believe that's supposed to be a window. Looks more like a mirror to me, but whatever. I guess the story was a story of a crow that was seen as reflection in a window. This is just the artist's interpretation of it being a mirror. But it shows the bird. It talks about how frustrated the bird got because it wanted to interact and it could not interact. The bird was not cooperating. The bird of the reflection was not cooperating. And the idea of the card is that we see what we want to see. We make up a story in our head, what we think we want and what we think the story is, but is that really reality? And that's what talks about. We see things the way we want to see them. And it asks the question, are you acting on something that's not true? It just is an illusion. And I was a little alarmed when I first saw this, because the card that comes up for the month of January here in the Crow Tarot is the Ten of Cups, which is, of course, a great celebration card, a time of joy and achieving dreams and things like that. And the card then comes up asking, is this an illusion or is this real? But upon further reflection, I see this card from the Murder of Crows is the Ace of Wands, which is talking about the effort that it takes to live the adventure you have been gifted. Okay, you work so hard to earn it, but it takes a lot of effort to live that. The bigger you dream, the bigger your the bigger your reality becomes, the more responsibilities you have. So if you dream big, you live big. It's going to take a lot of effort to live that big dream. So maybe this card is the illusion here is, what is the dream? Is the dream everything, or is the dream specific to certain things? Because we're not going to be able to ever have it all, do it all, right? And we really don't want to have it all, do it all. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out for the month of January. So we'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on so that you can do a little bit of time here with the cards of the month. Let me pull the 3 over that I had for February. For the month of February, I had from the Oracle card, I had the card Waterproof. And on the other sides of that, I had the Lover's card and the 8 of Wands. Okay, we'll put those down. Oh, these cards are lovely. Aren't they lovely? The term waterproof refers to the idea that a bird's feathers has sort of a crow's feathers has a little bit of an oily substance on them. It keeps them dry and safe from the water, keeps the water rolling off their back, and it protects them. And it talks about waterproofing ourselves, just like the crows have the feathers to protect them. We also have the ability to create a waterproof exterior to protect ourselves from other people's emotions draining all over us and weighing us down and holding us back. So this card is about that. And keep maintaining that waterproofing to keep ourselves free to move forward. And the card here we have in the light, if I want to call it the light, from the Crow Tarot is the Lover's card. And in this card, the Lover's card is really more about this relationship, this joining of spirits. You know, often people see the Lover's card as more of a choice, sometimes a choice path to choose. And this does have to do with a path to choose. But this is talking about this combining of spirits, two spirits coming together, this bonding with another spirit, or maybe just the people around us if it's not just one person. But how our spirits are joined with each other. And I thought this was so pretty how the crows have their heads down and they're touching their top of their heads together. And it says that each decision made by one affects them both because of this join. So using your decision using your inner compass when making decisions, it advises about that. And here we have the 8 of Wands, which we could consider the shadow of sorts. But the 8 of Wands is all about fast movement, growing, coming up out of the brambles. See them sitting way on top of the wands. They're perched on top of the wands, rising up, ready to fly free. And all about being a real intense growth and rapid movement kind of feeling with the 8 of Wands. And this is, how are these cards going to play together? This Lover's card and this 8 of Wands, and maintaining that, not letting others, we are going to take people along with us, but we don't want to be held back by their emotions draining on us. So that's going to play out in the month of February. We're going to see a little bit more about what that's about. You see, are you starting to see how I'm trying to consider these cards as they go together? Here I have 3 cards for the month of March, and we have the Oracle card of Displacement, flanked by the Crow Tarot, the 8 of Pentacles, and the 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords, very dramatic, very dramatic. And it talks about the Displacement card as, you know, crows, just like people, I guess, are acting out when they can't all when they're displeased. You know, crows are very sophisticated birds, and they're very intelligent. And they can get very angry and have displeasure, just like any other creature. But they sometimes will carry out their displeasure in destructive ways sometimes. And here they are ripping trash apart because they're frustrated, I guess. And it talks about, and the feeling that comes along with this card, the message with this card is, be aware if you are lashing out at someone because you have some feelings you're powerless. Are you taking out your anger or frustration on places, people, other things, because if you're feeling powerless to do anything about it? Okay. So that feeling of displacement, and how is it going to be reflected with the 8 of Pentacles? The 8 of Pentacles talks about this perfectionism that this crow has. Maybe, you know, see, he's got all these crows, these pentacles above him, but he's focusing on every little detail. Maybe warning that maybe focus too much on the small details are maybe holding you back. And it tells you to maybe step back and see the whole picture, And look how the shadow is flanked with the shadow of the 10 of Swords, which is, you know, that's a very dramatic card. That's a very dramatic 10 of Swords. The innards being ripped out of that poor person lying there by these birds. But it says, allow that spirit to fly free. Allow your spirit to fly free before it's too late. One journey must end before another begins. Okay, so if we're trying to fly free, we got to stop paying attention to every little detail. I guess that's the thing. This is all going to be for the month of March. We're going to try to make sure that our focus, I keep my focus. I think that's one thing that is looking at the bigger picture. And if it's time to move on, it's time to move on. Know when to get up and go. So we're going to be real curious. You know, I think maybe I think it might be interesting in the future videos to come during the month of 2022. I will try to come back to these cards. I'll revisit these cards with you, and we'll see how these played out in reality during my month, okay? I think I'm going to do that. I always look myself, but I don't really ever think to share it. But I think that's something you might like me to share. When I can, anyway. Okay, now we have April. And for the month of April, we have the Oracle card, Observation. Isn't that beautiful? Oh, that's a beautiful card. Can you see? Can you see that? That crow is watching a spider at work. And the spider down here has a fly or some kind of a bug trap, some bugs trapped in the web. And the bird is watching with great interest. Okay, and we have that flanked by the moon. And again, now we have the Lover's card from this deck. That's kind of interesting. Okay. And it talks about the Observation card as the crow hesitating. He probably wants to pluck that spider up in his beak and eat him and swallow him. But before he's going to eat him, he's going to take a moment to learn from him first. He's very fascinated and watching how he's going about his work, and he's going to learn a lesson maybe from that. Okay. And it says something of value may reveal itself if given an opportunity, if you step back to learn more from something. And maybe you learn more from listening rather than talking. Oh, I think that's a good lesson for me. Step back and listen instead of always be the one talking. Okay, and here we have it flanked. The idea of the moon. Of course, the moon illuminated areas that we protect, our insecurities that we're trying to protect. What are we hiding? What are we going to hide? What are we going to conceal? And recognize and accept all parts of yourself, even the weakest parts of ourselves. And here again, we are going down. We're going back to the Lovers. And the Lovers talks about this in this deck. It is all about there is somebody there for you. You are not alone. You will find somebody to walk a path with you. and your paths will join. You just follow the path, and your path will join up with the right person. It doesn't necessarily be a lover. It doesn't have to be a lover, but it is you have that. There is someone for you. You're not ever really ultimately alone forever. There's something going to be there for you. And I love this because the observation, even though he's going to end up eating this spider, there's a time. There's a time to eat him. Right now, it's not the time. He's going to watch and learn a little bit first. Okay, so we're going to see how these cards play out together. Some of you might have some cues, what you think they might mean, but I want to remind you that these are cards that are forecasting 2022, and it has not happened yet. So we're not going to try to take too many guesses. We're going to try to see with how they play out during the month. Okay, we're in the month of May now. We have distraction as our oracle card. We have the Crow Tarot, the Knight of Wands, flanked by the Death card. Lovely. Okay, we see distraction. And there's a story that they're referring back to of the crows, how they work together to steal the dog's food in some kind of a story. And it says someone or something might be calling you away from what you need to focus on. Like, are you being distracted like that poor dog? You might lose something of value if you are not paying attention. Where are you turning your attention to? Okay. Here we have the Knight of Wands. It's somebody who is perhaps jumping in without weighing all the consequences, rushing in without finding the balance in their actions, getting some balance in their life before they are just jumping forward, rushing forward. They're distracted. In that case, they're distracted by the success that they want to have, what they want to achieve. And here we have the Death card. The Death card talks about a task ending. You know, it always is when it's the Death card. Something is dying. Something is stopping. It is the time. There is a door closing. There is a door closing. Okay. So all of these cards, pay attention when something is closing. You have to find a new way to go. That old way is not going to go. In the Death card, that's very evident. You know, it's just going to close. You don't have any choice. You have to move on. You can't move on. You have to end that first. You have to walk away from that. So here we have a lot of movement depending on, attention, paying attention. So we'll see how that plays out in the month of May. All right. I think these are going to be very successful. We're going to be very successful in the marriage of these three cards, I'm pretty sure. Here we see in the month of June. This is my birthday month. Preparation. Flanked by the Knight of Pentacles from the Crow Tarot and the Magician card in the Murder of Crows. Okay, the preparation here. This was interesting because this card, you can see, I don't know if you can tell in this card, that's a ferry that carries boats across the channel or whatever. Here talks about, that's actually a story based that happened in Seattle, the Seattle area, that they were studying crows. The crows actually were using the ferry schedule to help them harvest clams from the from the water. That they were actually putting the clams in a certain place. So when the ferry arrived and the cars came down off the ferry, they would run over those clams, crushing the shells, and then they could, of course, devour the meat that was inside the shell. I thought that was really amazing. They talked about the importance of preparing, the importance of being ready for something that you know is coming, making some plans for when that happens. And here we have the Knight of Pentacles from the Crow Tarot, which talks about things that are coming, but we know the Knight of Pentacles, the horse is just standing there. He's going to do it. He's going to achieve something, but it's all about timing, right? And that's very much in tandem with this preparation card. Knowing when timing is everything. Timing is everything. So the Knight of Pentacles he's not going to just rush forward. He's going to take his time. He's going to have his homework done. He's going to know when it's ready. And he's going to complete one task before he goes on to the next task. The crows, one task, get those clams put in the proper position. Second task is, knowing the timing, when it's going to be, and then, of course, waiting to harvest the meat. And here we have the Magician, all about the time when your words become power. Using the elemental energy, knowing when that time is to manifest what you want, changing something into reality. Okay. Again, we have things manifesting what we want, achieving our goals, but it's all about timing, and that's going to happen in the month of June. Something about that. So we're going to be, I'm real curious to see what that's going to be. All right, we go to July. The 3 cards we play with in July are, we have the Protection card, first in the Oracle. That's a lovely, lovely card. Lovely card. Flanked by the Queen of Pentacles and the Hierophant. All right, on either side. Protection card talks about how fiercely protective that crows actually are. Things that they really love. They're very protective of them. And it says that, we like to be protected too. When we find everybody wants to feel protected all the time. And if we don't feel protected, we're really vulnerable. We're not able to create what we want to create. We're not able to grow. We fear vulnerable. And so it talks about we're never really alone. Maybe we feel like we don't have anyone to protect us, but we have our inner self to protect us. And we also have divine spirit to offer us protection as well. So we're not ever really alone, but that force of protection is very strong in us. And here we have the Queen of Pentacles in the month of July, which is about we will do whatever it takes. The Queen of Pentacles will do whatever it takes to make sure that her loved ones are protected, well cared for, and sometimes to the extent of maybe going too far. Maybe going too far. Sometimes there's that feeling of almost like a control. Are we trying to control things, or are we just trying to protect things? So again, it's very, very reflective on the subject of protection. And then here we have the Hierophant coming in here. The Hierophant is about the security of tradition, the security of traditional values, of conservative approaches, of caring, of learning, where you fit in, how you fit into the scheme of things, and the security in that. So that's sort of a different kind of a protection, isn't it? That's like an emotional protection in a way. So this is for the month of July, and we're going to see how those play out. I'm intrigued. I think I'm intrigued. We'll wait and see. Month of August, I'm going to have, first of all, the Fear card. Oh, the Fear card in the Oracle. The Crow, Urban Crow Oracle, and flanked by, the beautiful 3 of Cups. That's a beautiful 3 of Cups in the Crow Tarot, and the Ace of Pentacles in the Murder of Crows. Okay. I hope this camera is working well for you, because it's not that easy to do, let me tell you. Okay, the Fear card. The Fear card is about, yeah, we all see this funny thing. People put up scarecrows all the time for their crows, to scare the crows away, and we see the crows perching on the scarecrow. Like, are they really afraid of the scarecrow or not? Well, no, they're not, but they might have been at one time, and they have learned over time that they're not anything to harm them. And they do believe that crows pass down knowledge from one generation to the next, just like people sometimes do. So, but then it mentions, are all beliefs passed down that are holding us back out of fear? Are we being afraid because of something that was told to us by old fears? that sort of ties in with the month prior to this when we see the traditional Hierophant card. Maybe that's coming, maybe that we need to give that some thought, see how that ties in, carries over into this month, because that might have something to do with it, I don't know. But here we have the Three of Cups is about celebration, time to celebrate, how we have to take the time to celebrate and be with our family. So we don't want anything to hold us back from that, obviously. We don't want, and then we have the Ace of Pentacles is about the firm. It talks about the crow sitting there on that pentacle, how he's sitting there on a firm perch that will serve as a foundation for the life that he's going to build. It talks about planting a seed deep and firm in the soil so it will take root and thrive. Okay, so I'm going to see how that plays out. Fear, we already know we cannot, if we have old fears holding us back, we're not going to be able to grow from that. So we're going to see what this is trying to tell us in the month of August. And then we have this one. I love this one, because this is the month of September, where I first of all have dominance, flanked by the Queen of Swords from the Crow Tarot, and flanked on the other side by the Queen of Wands in the Murder of Crows, in the Murder of Crows Tarot. The dominance card is about, like all creatures, it says, the crows establish a pecking order. Like, I know very well about pecking orders because I have hens and they establish a pecking order too. Or the strongest one is the one that takes dominance, asserts its power. Okay? And it says the feeling for this month might be the idea that you might be feeling restricted by someone who is, or something that is dominating you. Okay, well, we'll look at this and say the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is something here we have in the Crow Tarot. Her message is that you have to have an impartial view. You might have to it might be required to make best decisions. And it talks about the Queen of Swords having that stern, calculating, she thinks with her mind instead of her heart. It's not so nurturing, not such a nurturing thing. So dominating with her knowledge, with her mind, her strength of mind. And here we have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands, they're in the the Murder of Crow Tarot, where she talks about the Queen of Wands is someone who never apologizes for her being intense. Okay? It says, hear the crunch. This is a cute little quote I got here. Hear the crunch and crack as she uses her staff to tear away the brambles that attempt to block her path. If she let such petty inconveniences slow her down, she would never have been queen of the realm. So it's wise to follow her. So we do have the power of the mind here, and also the power of this intensive, passionate fire power of the Queen of Wands. Using these two, mind and passion, mind and intensity here to take dominance of this. So we'll see how that works. In the month of September. Just a couple more here. I have in the month of October, I have the Soar card. Soar, S-O-A-R, soar. The crow is soaring above. And here we have the World card on the left, flanking the World card. And we have the Five of Wands. Okay? And the soaring talks about having the confidence to fly. There are some obstacles there's nothing when you rise above. There's nothing in your way, nothing to stop you. You have a chance to move. And it says to conjure up your conscience, your courage, and take action. Rise above it all. And then we have the World card, wonderful World card. Everything talks about success and fulfillment of their journey. Time of joy, and because all your work is paid off. And in the shadow here, we have shadow, if we want to say, the Five of Wands. So talks about a conflict. Talks about a conflict. It says, for the moment, all peace is lost. Practice time is spent in the ordeal of dominance and aggression. Okay, there could be some frustration or disorganization. This could be coming out of the passion of the last month. It could be. Still that maybe the fires maybe were set, maybe some feelings were hurt, or there might be some consequences of some of the things done in that domination of the last month. But when we rise above, and we are rising above, and rising above the mundane even, and celebrating, you know, there's always going to be jealousy. There's going to be jealousy, or somebody who's ready. When you're on top, there's going to be somebody to challenge you, to bring you down so they can take your place. That just happens in the world. So this might have something to do about that. We will not know until we get to the month of October, but I'm curious to find out what that could be. Okay, November, almost at the end here. I have November, the luck card. Oh, I love luck. And flanked by, I'm going to need it because here's the Ten of Swords from the Crow Tarot, and the Murder of Crows is bringing us the Page of Swords, 2 swords. Okay, so let's see what that has to do with. It says that you might not be able to see this. It might look like feathers to you, but actually raining down from the sky are fish. Those are actually fish coming down. So, oh, what a lucky day it was for that crow when fish started raining down from the sky. And it talks about something good is coming. Something good. Well, how could something good be coming? This is getting in the position where you're going to best be able to, you have the best results from that. So in his case, he knows where to be to catch the fish. You need to position yourself. It says that I will need to position myself in some place to have the best luck happen. And here, what do we have here? The Ten of Swords. Well, that is not good. We might think this is backstabbing or betrayal or whatever. Whatever it is, it's the end of something. It's the end of something for sure. It could just be the end of suffering, which is lucky, and a chance to, it's time you have strength to move on, which is good. It may be a good thing. We'll see what that is coming from. But then we have, perhaps it is something left over we see from last month with the challenges that we got last month. From the Five of Wands. We'll see what that happens. But here we have then here the Page of Swords, and the Page of Swords. In this deck, he is given the nickname the attentive observer. How he watches hidden in the shadows to uncover and remember some secrets to his advantage. Swords having to do with your secrets. That's sort of a less common. A less common meaning given to the Page of Swords, but even in the Rider-Waite, a lot of people reading the Rider-Waite, they read that as a secret, maybe passing on a secret, because you remember it has to do with words or something. So sometimes, in this case, in the shadows, words in the shadows are sometimes secretive, something secret. So we'll see how this is going to be a real curious combination here. We're going to see in the month of November, and finally we have one more month left. The month of December. Oh, a year from now. Oh, good heavens. It's probably going to go past like lightning. I don't know. Anomaly. Oh, look at that. We see a white crow. And we have here the Six of Pentacles flanked by the Five of Swords. All right. You see those? Here we go. Okay. The anomaly. Anomaly is something like... abnormal. That's what it is. So something out of the ordinary. So here we usually see black crows. In this illustration, we see a white crow. Something different. And so it says something is coming in the month of December 2022. It is going to be abnormally good or abnormally bad. It's just something out of the ordinary. Don't sure exactly what it's going to be. Either way, it's going to be noticeable. I'm going to notice what it is. It's going to stand out. So I don't know if that's good or bad. But looking for some of the clues, maybe, we see the Six of Pentacles, and the Six of Pentacles is about sharing. Here's a crow sharing his extra fish with other less fortunate birds that didn't have the luck to catch a fish. And so it's being shared. But it talks about this is being shared. This is not just being altruistic. This is being like, you know, I'm going to share with you now, but I expect to be paid back in the future. Okay? There are strings attached to this act of sharing. And the Five of Swords has to do with a challenge that is going to be coming that I need to be ready for, some kind of a challenge. And always ready, standing with your sword, ready to strike back if need be, because whatever's coming might be hostile. Excuse me. So, well, I don't know. We'll see. Some of it sounds good. Some of it sounds maybe not so good. But that's the way the world is, good and bad, fun and games and not so fun and games. So there it is. There's my forecast for 2022 using the Crow Tarot, using the Murder of Crows Tarot, and using the Urban Crow Oracle. I think 3 decks that play nicely together. That's going to make for a very interesting forecast for the year. So I will check back with you in 2022 and we'll see how it goes. In the meantime, I hope you find something. It's fun. You don't need to do this. You don't need to use this exact layout for your forecast, but use any one I've used in the past. There's a couple other ones I've used in the past that I've shared with you here on my channel. But there are others, or you can make up one of your own. But it's really fun to try to find the energies, how you can track the energies throughout the year. Don't try to make it too much about a real forecast, it's not, we're not telling fortunes here. We're not, telling you everything that's going to happen in those months. That's not what this is about. This is about just the kind of energies that are going to be ebbing and flowing through the year and checking back with them. And I think it's really, real fun. I think it's fun to do. I'm going to try to get that in there. There we go. I think it's fun to do. And in my case, I really wanted the opportunity to have these 3 decks play together because, I love them. You're going to be seeing a lot more of these decks. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'm Rebecca, and I wish you blessings and a very, very, very happy, healthy 2022.